Hi, Celeste.
Hello, hello.
Hi, thank you for joining me. You look beautiful. Your hair looks fantastic. The sweater looks good.
Thank
You're
you
rocking it
so much.
today.
Thank you. I feel like, I've been taking care of sick kids and I just needed a shower and to get clean and like, not have snot all over me.
Yeah, take care of yourself. Girl, I haven't seen you since high school.
I know. And
How
you know what
are
I
you?
was thinking that this reminded me of as soon as you
Hmm.
asked me to do this? I was like, this is just like WTV days.
Girl, yes. Oh my gosh, what if I had the little intro and like I played us in? Oh my God, the little teleprompter, and then it's like ad lib where it's like between the news, football game tonight on Friday.
We were
What?
great on TV once upon a time.
We were. Okay, what was the teacher's name? He did not like me.
Mr.
Mr.
Downham.
Downham. He did not like me.
Oh, I think
Yeah.
he liked me. I think he loved me, but
He had his
he
like
made
people
like
that
that.
he really loved and like really persuade. I think he didn't like that I didn't like, how there was a requirement to do like the stories.
Yeah.
And I think there was some sort of a loophole. Like if you did so many news anchorages times, like you didn't have to do him. And so I tried to do that so I wouldn't have to do him. And I think he was like, you slacker, you just want to be on TV and not doing the work. Like I feel like that was his
I
negative
mean, in
thing
all
towards me.
fairness, that was like the funnest part of the class was getting to be on TV. And the
Yeah.
scariest part.
Yeah. But then also you got to skip like the 15 minutes of your next class, which I think for me was like
Yes. Yeah.
AP social studies of some sort. And I would just be late going into that class, kind of miss the first part. And like, I don't know, you felt like a baller coming in. You're like, yeah, that was me just up there. What's up?
Oh, those
Ah,
good old days.
man.
That's so long ago.
That was 10 years ago because we just had the 10-year reunion for my grade. So yours was a little bit because you were ahead of me, right?
Yeah, I've lost track of it. Once you hit like 30s, you're just old from here on out.
Yeah. It's so silly though, because I have this double memory of like, it was so long ago. And at the same time, I'm just like, I remember it. Like, I remember doing the stuff and like that was our life and we were the kids. Like we had our parents picking us up and then we got our driver's licenses and then we had the practice, we had cheer practice together. Like
Yes.
we actually
Oh,
spent a
so
lot of
many
time
fun
together.
things. Yeah, we did. We did.
Yeah. Man. And now we're parents, we're moms.
It's so fun. Oh,
It's so
I love watching
silly.
it.
Yeah. And you had Daisy. I had Paisley and you had Daisy like a week after, right? So our babies are around the same time, but you
Yeah.
have two older kids.
Hmm.
Besides.
So
Tell-
actually, I don't think of it as two older. I think of it
Okay.
as I have an older and then I have two babies. Silas, he just turned 3, so
Okay.
he's still a lot.
Yeah. So tell me about your motherhood. When did you like first become a mom? Tell me about your family. I'm like aggressively following you on Instagram and Facebook. I am
Oh
so
yeah.
in love with your like recent posts. I want to hear all about the mushroom class. Like
Oh
my
goodness.
husband's sick and tired of hearing about how I am in love with you doing the mushroom class. Like that's all I talk about. And then today before I got started, he's like, "Who's this?" And I was like, "Celeste, she did the mushroom class and she has the kids and she's doing the rallies." And like you don't might not know this, but like in my house, you are very much rooted
Oh,
for
thank
and like
you.
I'm very much in awe and I admire you so much. But like we'll get through all of that. Let's get started about your motherhood and your kids. I
Sure.
want to hear about all of that first and the mushroom
Okay.
class.
Oh, fun. Okay, yeah. If you do follow me on Instagram, I don't. Nothing's private and nothing's off limits. So, that is my whole life right there on that page. So I first became a mom when I turned 24. Yeah, I got married when I was 23. We didn't waste any time. Mackenzie came along. I found out I was pregnant with Mackenzie about 5 months into being married.
Wow.
So yeah, it was really fast, but it's funny. It's just, above anything I could have ever wanted for my life, I just knew I wanted to be a mom, and I wanted to be a wife, and I wanted to raise babies. So anything else, and I do have lots of hobbies, as you know, and other things I'm passionate about, but that's always secondary to raising kids and having a good family, a good stable family.
You're such a good mom. Like I really do admire you, and I watch you from afar, and sometimes I'll kind of comment, but like you can see the love that you have for your kids.
Thank
You
you.
know, it's not like the social media posts that are all pretty and whatever. Like you can see the time that you spend with them and how involved you are in their everyday lives and how important it is to you that they are learning through not only the things that are presented to them on the paper and the syllabus and the agenda that they need to go through, but more so how you're like introducing it in the real world. So like the outings, the hiking, the crafts, the events that you guys go through, you know, like that concretes the knowledge in their mind so much more than anything they could just read through and memorize and forget about. Like these are legit life lessons that you're teaching them every single day. And not only are they learning it from you, they're learning it from their older siblings. And like you can just see that like through a picture, through your writing, especially. I love
Thank
your
you.
writing.
Thank you so
I
much.
love reading it. I'm sure you hear it all the time, but like it really does speak to my heart. Like it's one of those things you look at or you read and you're like, wow, she really wears her heart on her sleeve because you're such an open book and you present yourself so well that it allows others, like people like me, when I read it, I'm like, wow, I can connect to it. I can resonate with something from here. I can learn from, you know, and like it opens up my heart. Like
Thank you.
it's you can hear words of God speaking through you as a mother, things that are important to you, things you want to teach to your kids. Like it really does read through and it's so authentic. There's nothing that I'm like, oh, she's just doing this or trying to say this. Like none of that at all. It's so genuine. And anyone who's listening, you have to follow Celeste and you have to read these posts. I mean, they're inspiring and they really do talk to my heart. I'm sorry. I'm like,
Thank you.
I'm geeking out. I'm a fan.
It means a lot. It's, you know, it's been a journey and it's amazing just how, like, I don't know, bringing back up like the 10 years ago, the people we were 10 years ago, 12 years ago for some of us, to just where I'm at now. It's been such a journey and it's been a huge transformation. And I've only just gotten my feet wet, you know, like ask me anything and I'll tell you, oh, I don't know. I'm just learning as I go.
You're getting
I'm
started.
not expert on anything. I'll just tell you how it's going every step of the way. So,
but that's the great thing about you is that you never claim to be an expert, but you are so ready to learn. Like, I want to know about this mushroom class and how it all began, but it's for what I saw, you're just like, hey, this is interesting. I want to learn. And then you went for it. And then you're involving your kids with it. And then you're showing it like you're teaching others about it. And I'm just like, yes, tell me more. So tell me how you got into this mushroom. I'm so like, I want to know all about it.
right.
So obsessed with it.
So I don't really know when I started to gain an interest in, actually, we're going to back way up because I do kind of know where it stems from. So, honest to goodness, I have this funny little anxiety struggle with illness. And it's funny because if you ask anyone, you know, like the more kids you have, the more sick you see. It's just everywhere. It's nonstop. But I did my whole life. I've just kind of struggled with being afraid of being sick. And not being able to recover from that. And I don't really know where that stemmed from. It's just it's been there for as long as I can remember. So I've kind of naturally developed this curiosity and interest in like natural medicine and stuff. And not that, you know, I don't have any desire to become a doctor or a nurse or anything like that. So this is all just hobby stuff. Bless you if that is your line of work. It's not for me. Again, the sick people being sick. No. So yeah, it just kind of over a lifetime of dealing with that, I've become really passionate about like finding ways that I can take care of myself, because that's, there's very few things that you can control in life. But finding ways to support yourself naturally and being healthy is one of those ways that you can take charge and take control. So yeah, I have discovered that I have a love of like all things herbs and mushrooms and like natural medicines, natural remedies, everything like that. And I know some people just give the biggest eye roll ever. And I understand. I totally understand. I get that. Like, it can seem kind of weird, but there is so much to learn about just the wonderful ways that, like, God created this beautiful planet for us. And we don't even understand even just the basics of like what he created some of these things for, and so learning about just different plants out there and like what all the different uses for them and stuff.
Yeah.
I used to kind of walk by mushrooms when I was a kid, and honestly I was freaked out. That is gross. What is that thing? Like, it looks so weird. I don't know what's there. And I never really enjoyed mushrooms as a kid. Like, if you put them on pizza or in a dish, I'm like they're slimy and gross. Okay, there's a difference between store-bought mushrooms and then what you would find in the wild as like choice edibles.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have known that had I not gotten into it. So yeah, I'll just say I started through the Herbal Academy. You can find them on Instagram. And they just have a number of different classes, courses, just a whole bunch of stuff. They're a wonderful, absolutely wonderful resource. But what I was finding was like there's so much you could do with it. It's become part of my homeschool. It's become like my hobby, like what I'm interested in learning about in my downtime. I don't love gardening, but I like cultivating like herbs and stuff, and so that's become a hobby. And then let's see. So yeah, homeschool, gardening, and then like learning how to use them as supplements has just been like this whole world. And like I said, again, I am just into the basics. Like there are some people out there who's so knowledgeable on the subject, and it's been incredible.
There's this mushroom guy that I follow, and I always forget his name, Paul something. He's this older gentleman who is in Seattle actually, but he's like this mushroom guru, and he just goes through all of these forests and finds these amazing mushrooms. And I've always been amazed, like the mushroom system and how they talk, like through their pores, they can communicate. If they need to like leave an area, go to a different area, they can attract different DNA to change themselves to then benefit someone. Like their communication system through God is so beyond anything you can ever imagine. Like as plants, they communicate so much, and they can leave an area in a day and go somewhere else, and like they will grow and develop to benefit certain animals in that area. And similarly, like if you grow your own, so there's two different things. So I learned that if you are gardening and you like spit on it, if you put your DNA on the fruits and vegetables, they'll actually start evolving into carrying the benefits they need to help you and cure you. So if you put your DNA on, I'm a little off my rocker on this one.
Well,
and so, but I love this stuff. And so if you're gardening and you leave your DNA on it, it will grow to benefit you because it'll read what needs to do to help you. That's what it does to animals in the wild. And that's how like different vegetables, fruit, plants kind of develop and change to benefit the animals. And so when you're growing them yourself, you can curate it to benefit and heal your family. So whatever illnesses, it's so incredible. Like if any illnesses are within your family, like have everybody spit on your garden. Like it sounds weird, but you're like the fruits and the vegetables will grow to heal you. Like they just change and they get it and they know it. And that's just what they do. And then within mushrooms, they communicate so well and can change their DNA so quickly. If you do that to a mushroom, it grows to just literally heal you. And we grew lion's mane. There's like a box you can get and you grow it. It's so delicious. It's so incredibly like full of just benefits. And just
So
know
weird
you're like,
looking.
but like you're growing medicine, you know, like I'm
Yeah.
totally addicted to all of that stuff too. I have this little encyclopedia with all the herbal things. I got into this like conspiracy theory, if you will, but how good dandelions are actually for you, and dandelion tea and dandelion plant and the leaves and all part of it. And like, since it's so good, everyone calls it a weed, and Roundup signed up and said, hey, it's a weed, let's kill it all off. And I understand that it spreads like wildfire. Like dandelions can take over your entire yard, but it's so beneficial and everybody wants to get rid of it, not knowing that it is so good. Like
you can eat every part of a dandelion.
The
and
roots,
they
the
all
leaves.
do different things.
Yeah, and they affect different system of your body. And it's silly because like if you were to go to a restaurant and get a salad with dandelion leaves, it's so much more expensive because it's such a pristine thing. It's like the kale, you know, like where it used to be looked down upon and then became really popular. I really hope people get that with dandelion, because it's like after reading this encyclopedia and seeing what it can do for you, I'm just like, man, people are calling this a weed and ignoring it growing in their yard. Yet like the benefits are beyond me. And that's, you know, something we're calling a weed. And so you can just look at different plants and the things they can do for you.
Right.
It's something I took for granted because way back in Russia, like my grandma would make us go foraging for berries, and mushrooms was a big thing, and different things. Yeah. And it was more so from like in Russia, it's still very herbal and very like, because you can't afford to go to the doctor. And so everyone knows these different ways of how to heal you. Like your grandmas pass it on to you. And as a kid, I was like, man, I don't want to go to the forest. I don't want to be in the garden all day. Like, why are we doing this? And now I'm flipping this way, going back to my roots almost, where I'm like, I get it. I get it what my grandma was doing. This was her way of keeping me healthy, keeping her family healthy. Like I barely ever got sick in Russia. And that's super cold. That's super, you know, like, and we went to school. It's snowing. You go to school. It's not like there's days off or anything like that. Like I was constantly in cold weather. My feet would be like, but I never really got sick. And as a kid, you don't think about it. But then now with the baby, I'm like, what is it that I need to do to protect her, to keep her healthy? But also I'm like reborn and inspired to keep myself healthy because I want to live longer. I want to spend more time with her, like as much as I can. So now I'm like, what is it that I need to do to protect my family and prevent any illnesses from entering this home? And so now I'm just like, we need to garden, because I'm also a big, like, I don't know. I feel like not only are you what you eat, but you are also what your food eats. And so what is it that the chicken that you're eating, what are they eating? Because if they're eating some sort of hormones, that's going to get into your body. If the eggs, you know, if they're laying the eggs, what did the chicken eat? Because all of that kind of comes out. And again, if you think about it from a human standpoint, like whatever I eat is going to get into my baby through breast milk. And so whatever she is going to be what I eat. So whatever, I'm her food. So whatever I eat is now her. And it's same like whatever we put into our garden, even fruits and vegetables, it's like, oh, it's just fruits and vegetables. Like, well, what chemicals were put on them? Because again, they adapt all of that and then you're ingesting it. So of course it's like 0.001% maybe with every fruit and vegetable you eat, but like throughout our lifetimes, it's all getting into our system. And so now I'm just like, I need to know what's going into my food. I need to watch my own garden, and my mom does the chicken, so I know where the eggs come from. Like, and we now go to a farm, but becoming a mom and opening my eyes more to it, I'm so much more conscious where I'm like, what the heck haven't I been told? And why wasn't it taught to us in school?
I know that American diet, I tell you what, like, we are so blessed in this country that we don't have a food shortage problem. Okay, aside from 2020, because now it's all up in the air. But at the same time, though, are we poisoning ourselves? Like, are we making ourselves sick And what I have discovered is, like, there's this common motto within the natural world that says, like, the further away from nature you get, the sicker you are. It's so true. I mean, how many people do you know with, like, just all kinds of internal things going on that we have made normal, and like, oh, and then people are just, they're dependent on all kinds of medications. And hear me out. Like, I understand that there is an absolute wonderful need for Western medicine. I get its place, and I think that it has saved lives and it has helped immensely, more than I could ever understand. Again, like the doctor nurse realm,
Yeah.
we appreciate you. Not nagging on you.
No.
But
Yeah.
again, like, what happened to going back to the basics in staying close to our roots? And like, there's this something in you that's like almost primitive, that like you need to be fueling with things that are straight up out of the ground and like untouched by just anything toxic. And I don't know, I'm not even like super conscious of a lot of that stuff. I just know that the cleaner I am, the better I feel and the healthier I am. And like, it proves itself over and over and over. So
it's more so from the benefits that I've seen. And again, this is so another thing that I noticed. I found out, let me back up. So sometimes my baby would flare up with eczema. And I was like, okay, so first I was doing topical things and I was doing my belly butter, which helps like calm it down, but it was still there. And so I was doing more reading, and I saw some people talking that it actually comes from an imbalance in your internal system. And so I was like, well, like, she's pure. There's no chance anything's imbalanced in her. So it's something that I'm doing that's coming through my breast milk onto her. And then I saw that some babies could be allergic to gluten. And then I thought, what if I stop eating gluten? And I did. And she cleared up immediately. Like, nothing is on her. And so I was like, what the heck is with this gluten? Mm-hmm. And I looked into it, and there's this chemical that they put into American flour. And so it could live its life on the shelves more so than anything. And it's FDA approved, yet is banned in a lot of other countries. So if you get like Italian flour, it won't be the same. So if you're eating like Italian flour made pasta, although it's called gluten, you might not have the same effects if you were to eat the American pasta and the American gluten. Right. And so it's so weird, because I'm like, well, now we've cut out all gluten in our family and we're doing gluten-free pasta, and it's like made from quinoa or like other vegetables. And I'm like, well, I feel better because I'm technically like taking more vegetables, and I don't feel as heavy after eating the pasta, but I still get the texture, the flavor that I'm looking for. And it's not hurting my baby. But I started doing this, again, more research, like, what the heck is with this flour? And why is it in the American flour? And again, FDA approved. So it seems like, oh, of course, they want what's best for us. But why is it not allowed in other countries? And then you start looking at those things, and then it comes to that question of you like, why is it, if you were to, I don't want to say they're poisoning us, but like, why is it they're putting things into our food that aren't good for us?
The age-old question.
Yeah. And I
don't.
It's,
I try not to look too far into it, because that's when I feel like I get carried away. And actually that becomes a stumbling block for my sick anxiety issue. So, of course, like I said, for me, it's more about, what am I fueling myself with? What am I like putting my energy into? What am I cultivating for myself? Like, what are the good things I can take, instead of worrying so much about like, what can I eliminate? So
we try, we still totally eat like chips sometimes, or we'll get donuts, and like, of course, like, it's not like we're just this perfectly healthy eating family, but it's just being a little bit more conscious about it. And something I thought about like a couple of years ago, but it just sticks in my head, if they put something in a product for it to last 4 years on the shelf, like if it can last 4 years on the shelf, it can last 4 years in your body. Like, I know it doesn't compute and it's not that exact relationship, but the fact that it can, then I'm like, well, what is it that I'm putting inside my body that can also last for a long time? Whereas like if produce goes bad within a week, as it should, then it will also expire inside my body and then exit. But if anything's keeping it, alive or like steady in the form that you first purchase it, then that stuff can linger in your system as well. But I want things putting in and I want them coming out. I don't want anything lingering there.
Well, like chewing gum. What was that? Like it stays in your body for 7 years or something.
Is that true?
I don't know that I believe that, but that is that image that I get is like,
yeah.
It's not like your body if it can't break it down, where's it going?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I want to know. And sometimes okay, so this is gross, but I found out this like Epsom salt flush. Have you heard of this?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Such a big fan. And it's just like a little bit of Epsom salt water. You drink it up and then like, this is a gross image, but you've seen those like power washer videos where like it's just so like clean. That's how I feel. Like it just clears me out and I'm clean. Like all my tubes, if you were to send a camera, like it'd be clean in there. It'd be a slip and slide. Like although it's gross, but like it flushes you out. And of course I was gross and I looked at it and I was like, there's chunks in there that have been in my system for such a long time. And that's so unhealthy. Like, why did they linger in there for so long? And I want them out because like, I just want to be clear. Like, I don't think anything should stay in your system for such a long time. It's not good for your skin, nails, hair, your attitude. Like, I don't know. If someone's cranky, sometimes I'm like, you need to poop. Like, you got to get that stuff out because it's just, you've got, it's not good. Once it's past due, it needs to come out. And so I started paying more attention. Like if things flush out of me, I'm like, that shouldn't have been in there for that long. It just like, I know it's like, how long are the intestines? It's something crazy. You know how your intestines, if you were to unroll them, they're just I've heard 100 feet or something crazy.
No.
Yeah. So like, it's something wild. I might be over exaggerating, but it is something like absurdly long. And so you can understand that like things would get twisted, things get stuck in your like kitchen sink and that's just one turn. But then I'm like, I just don't want things getting stuck in. And especially if it's, some sort of chemicals or things that are going to cause me harm, I get concerned.
Well, and then too, like you were saying, since becoming a parent, these are things that are like as obscure as they are and probably not most people's everyday thoughts, they become your thoughts because you're fueling yourself. You need to be healthy. You need to be able to take care of your kids and keep them healthy. And then so after having, well, it was after Silas technically, but after 3 kids, like my intestines, like not everything goes back in the way, like right. And then you get like these funny like digestive issues and like I have this hernia. It's not like,
How'd you get a hernia?
Silas, man. That kid. So my second child, he was quite a bit bigger than my first. And I was just, so with all 3, I was so sick. Sick my whole pregnancies. And so I ripped a hernia about 10 weeks pregnant with Silas. Just from being so sick all the time.
Was it like from throwing up and like the pressure they would put? Yeah. Okay, man.
And
girl.
So I haven't done anything about it. They said don't bother until you're done having children, which like you don't want to make any immediate decisions, but yeah, I think we're done. So yeah,
girl. Yeah. I remember you were posting when you were pregnant with Daisy that you were fairly sick and kind of having sickness. Was it food aversions or just literally everything was just
everything? Just everything. I just like clockwork, 6 weeks on the dot, I am throwing up until about 20 something weeks. It starts to calm down and then I feel a lot better. I get so sick, and that's part of the reason I don't think that we'd have any more. Is just like the more you have, the more people you got to take care of, and the sicker you are, that puts you down and you can't take care of your family anymore. It's really hard.
It's silly because I'm not in your boat. I'm just with one baby, but I mentally can't think about being sick. Like I'm like, I can't have a sick day because then what if I can't get up and help her? Like I must feel well because I need to take care of my baby. I need to make sure I can. It's so weird because of course I want to take care of myself, but the way I'm taking care of myself is because I'm thinking about someone else. And I want to feel well for her so I can be most energized, awake or ready. And help her in any way that I can. Like I can't think what we would do if I got sick. Like I can't imagine.
And it happens. That is just such a part of like your family life. And of course, like the more kids you have, the more sickness that comes through your house. Like I had COVID like beginning of the month. And granted, I mean I barely was sick at all, but it's true. Like when mom's down, it's hard to keep the family rolling and keeping things going, especially if you have things like 3 kids and all different needs, diaper changes, homeschool, and they never stop asking for food. Like that never goes away.
You're just constantly feeding everybody. Really quick, somebody had commented, dandelion, so powerful and so plentiful. Make dandelion root tea and supplements. I love the dandelion so much. Yes, see, everybody, garlic is my fave. I'm glad that people are also getting into this.
Yes, that's so fun.
I wanted to ask you about, well, 2 things. So were you always a stay-at-home mom starting with your first one, or did you get into that position? And then will you tell me more about homeschooling? Because it's a path I'm considering very much, like 110%. And I'm dipping my toes in it, but I'd love to hear from you how it's going with 1, with 3, where you're at, how you're managing your time. Like just tell me all about it.
Sure. Okay, what was your first question? Because now I lost it.
Yeah, no worries. I wanted to see if you were always stay-at-home mom, starting with your first one, or
yes. So when I got married, so funny. I'm a hairstylist also. Doesn't look like it, but
your hair looks good.
I have that under my belt also. And so I worked in a salon for 6 or 7 years. Well, I worked in a couple places, so I think a total of 7 years. And then when I got married, I think it was the night of our rehearsal dinner, my boss called me as I was walking in, and she's like, well, the salon is shutting down. Yeah, we're closing for good. And so I was like, well, I'm getting married. This is it. And then so I did take on like a coffee job for a little bit, which was fun, but like it was for fun. It wasn't like I was bringing in significant income. And Jimmy and I had talked about it like before we even got married. He said, you know, when it's time for us to start having some babies, like think about what you would want to do and that it's important to you that you stay home and stuff. His mom stayed home with him. My mom stayed home with me. And I just knew that that's what we would do. I knew that that's what we would do. So yeah, I think I stopped working like my last month of pregnancy with Mackenzie, and I just never went back. Now, we did buy a house it belonged to Jimmy's grandma. And she was a hairstylist, so she has a little shop. And like we're in the house right now, so yeah, she had a little hair salon in the house, and so I was fortunate enough that like half my clientele just followed me, and I wasn't able to keep it up like I was in a salon, but I still I do it for fun. You know, people will come over and I'll do their hair for fun. I've taken a good break. Like I've gotten way back on it just with the 3 of them. It's so hard to like find the time. In fact, I can hear Jimmy in the other room corralling the kids, so I could do this now. But it's like that. It's trying to figure it out, and like it's not the same because people will come over and like you don't get like that luxurious salon experience where you know it's like serene and somebody's washing your hair. It is wonderful. It's like there's kids coming in crying and like I'm interrupted 500 times. So the people that come over still to get their hair done, bless them. It's a circus, but we do it. It's just for fun. So yeah, I've
I
always
love
stayed
that.
home. It's really important to me to be a part of that. I just think looking back on my life and how present my mom was, um, like it shaped everything the way I think now, the way I think about family and home and the importance of it and the priority and just the like stone that you are, that foundation there for your family. I laugh at that though because I'm still learning how to do all of it.
I don't think we ever like figure it out. That's something I've heard like
Right.
parents say multiple times. It's like you never really figure it out because then there's always something new that develops and then you just adapt. You never know what's going on. You're just constantly adapting.
Yeah.
Um, I was raised by a single mom. And so, and I had two older brothers. So she had three of us, and then she was trying to provide and work. So she was working like 2 or 3 jobs, and my grandparents watched us a lot, which I love my mom and I love being with my grandma because, again, she taught me all those things.
Yeah.
But I didn't experience the stay at home thing, and I didn't really know about it because, in my mind, what I've been taught is that, you know, my mom was working. And so somebody would have to be away. And the way you watch like movies, it's kids go to school. And then I went to school. So I was like, oh, that's just part of life is, your mom kind of has you. And then once the parental leave is over, like just the pregnancy leave, you are taken care of by someone else. And so that was kind of the way that I thought everybody does it. And that's just how it was supposed to be. And it's funny that I just literally didn't know that there was a whole thing of being able to stay home with your kid. And we're fortunate enough where my husband, like he brings in the money to provide for our family and I didn't have to work. Um, Granted, I was working, doing my own thing prior to the baby. But once I had her, I can't imagine being away from her. It like I just want to be there with her and I want to help her with everything and I want to teach her stuff. And I I'm so thankful that I'm in this place where I don't have to go to work. I admire moms who do have to do it. And it's hard being at work for 10 hours, coming home, you only have a few hours with the kids. And I think for those that it works, I admire it. I just personally can't be away from I want to be home with her. I want to help her and teach her things and hang out with her. And I'm so glad that this other way of being with your family has been open and has been shown to me where I'm like, wait, you can stay home with your kids. You can like,
Yes.
and so I've seen some like really negative things about it, which I'm really confused. It's like, some people are like, oh, you're,
Not
oppressed. Yeah, you have to stay home and you don't make any money and I had somebody who wrote a really like rude comment. They're like, you're so lazy. Jay gives all the money and you don't do anything. Like, and I was like, well, first of all, I've got 4 businesses that are going, so like calm down. But also I hear it often where it's like, oh, the man provides for the family and he supports me. Whereas, like, well, actually, I support my husband by letting him pursue any dream or career he chooses and wants to and give him all the free time because I'm taking care of the kids. We're no longer paying for like a daycare or a school or any of those expenses because I'm taking those on.
It's a
We're,
team effort and it's so overlooked, the job that being home is. And if you look at it like it's a job, it's gonna be a job. And some
yeah.
days that's just the way it is anyway. Like
Sometimes you just got to get
break
through
it up.
it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's just it's undervalued. The
It's
work goes unrecognized and unappreciated, and
yeah.
it's not something you could understand unless you've done it.
And it's so silly to me because I've always valued parenthood. Like before I became a mom, I think it's so important to be good parents because you're raising a whole human being who are going to grow up and make their own choices and are going to change lives and do things. Like, I just think constantly as adults, we're kind, if you have some sort of trauma, you're trying to find that void, you're trying to fill those emptiness, if there's daddy issues, mommy issues, you're constantly going for that and trying to complete yourself as a whole. And those that I've seen who don't have those trauma experiences and have had a good childhood with a happy family and the mom and dad who were there to help you out, they are so confident within themselves because they're not trying to fill any of those holes or fix any of those traumatic experiences that, may be conscious or subconscious, but they are able to just be free of that weight. And I see them being so confident in making decisions and taking on responsibilities because they're so true and set in who they are instead of changing or developing and like bending to people, trying to please others and deal with it. And so I think good family and good parenting raises this really wholesome people who can then grow up and change other people's lives, which is so important. And so I've always saw parenthood as really important and was excited to be a mom. But then becoming a mom, I really see how much time and effort goes into it. And it's so sad that it's not as recognized as it should be, because if you break it down, you're working sometimes 16 hours a day without really a break. So you're not only, let's say, just break it down if you were just a nanny, but you're not only that, you're also a housekeeper, a cook, a teacher. You take on all these jobs. It's like, well,
You
who's
don't get a
paying
clock
me?
off.
No, you don't get a break where no one's just bothering you. You don't get weekends and you don't get nights off. Like some people who work, you come home after 6 and you can relax. But like as a mom, you don't relax until there's bedtime. And then sometimes you're still up through the night or whatever you need to do. But if you're taking up a job of 4 people, you're not getting the salary of 4 people. You're actually not getting paid at all. And on the other end, people are saying, oh, you're oppressed and you're lazy because you're at home with your kids just hanging out. And I'm like, no one's hanging out. I haven't laid on my couch. We've got this amazing large couch. I haven't relaxed on it once. I just can't, like my baby's crawling right now, going all right around. Like there isn't that relaxed time and I don't get relaxed time. And I've just seen these comments of like, moms don't do anything. You just hang out and watch TV with your kids. I'm like, I don't know any mom that's just so full of time that she's so bored. Like we're constantly almost not drowning in things that we need to do, but we're just trying to stay afloat with responsibilities. Because as soon as you got one kid down, the other one's up. Then the dishes need to get done. Then you're going to do the laundry. Then the house is dirty because somebody it's this constantly moving beast. And I'm like, where's the appreciation for the moms? Like moms work so hard and they raise these amazing human beings. And you get, I don't know, Mother's Day. So you get a card.
So what I would say to all that, and again, I'm no expert. It's just where I'm at with it, is that first of all, those comments, like, let them roll off because whose business is it anyway? Like, who the heck cares? They have no idea.
Yeah.
Secondly, if you're looking for validation in what you're doing here, you might get it, but it's not going to be satisfying. Our satisfaction comes from the Lord. He is the one who's designed our purpose. He is the one who validates your work. He sees the things that nobody sees. He holds the tears you cry that nobody's going to understand,
Yeah.
He sees how many noses you wiped, how many butts you wiped, how many times you've been spit up on, thrown up on, like all the hard things. He knows, and he has given you this, and it is so hard sometimes, and the days are just like they're so long. The days are long, but it's joyful work, and as underappreciated as it might seem, and for so many people who can't understand, like this is eternal work right here. This is like what's gonna matter in the kingdom someday. These are the people that you've been entrusted with to raise up and to teach about Jesus, and like there's no greater work. There is not, like, it doesn't matter what you accomplish here on this earth. It's nothing could compare to what your purpose is for God. So I would just say, if you're secure in your identity, then your purpose is crystal clear and you don't need validation from anyone. You can let criticism just roll right off you.
I love that. I think I see a little bit of validation, at least for myself, like seeing how much she changes on day-to-day basis, or like when she is going from crawling to walking or standing up, or now she's waving hi, and you see these developmental stuff. You're just like, you're growing, and it's, I guess, kind of narcissistic, but I'm like, I'm helping you grow. Yeah. But more so than anything, like the amount of time I spend with her, I see that love received back. Sometimes I'm like, girl, I wish you would just give me 5 seconds, but she just loves me so much. And then I'm like, what am I like, I am so loved by this beautiful human being, like obsessed with me and likes me. And she thinks I'm funny. Like she just laughs. And I'm like, that is the coolest thing. And then sometimes where I don't know, sometimes I think of it like, if have you seen the show The Office?
Yeah.
Sometimes I picture life like that. And so we're just living in it, and God's just watching us as a reality TV show in every room. And he's just laughing. And these things that like happen that like maybe no one's around to see, whether it's just, again, me crying by myself or tripping or laughing or whatever it might be. Sometimes I'm like, God's watching this right now and laughing. Like he's got this little camera and he's just watching it all through, and it's all kind of documented. And he's kind of the script writer of how it's all going to go and where do our characters develop. But he sees it. And so sometimes I'm like, not only am I doing this for this baby and this amazing human being, I'm also growing through it. But I know that I'm a vehicle through God. Like God has chosen me to help him raise and develop this baby and help her grow and learn things and develop skills and learn how to navigate herself in life. And so I think there is that validation. I think it's motherhood. It's such a private life almost, there's all these intimate moments that happen, and you just kind of, I don't know, things kind of go a blur that are happening around you. And you're just like, oh, it's me and this baby and me and this kid. And you have this different relationship with each and every one of them. And it's just kind of lasered in on them and God, where it's like, this is where we're at. And sometimes you get to share it with others, but there is something very private about it, very intimate.
Right. Yes. That's I love that. I'm reading this really great book right now. It's by I don't know if you know Dr. David Jeremiah. We went to his church in San Diego, and he wrote this like Christmas book. Now I can't even think of the name of it. Why the Nativity, I think is what it is. Anyway, like he opens up with this scene of it just reminded me of like what we're talking about, perspective with parenting. If you drive up to the mountains, like Snoqualmie Pass, and you're a ways off in the distance and you're driving, you can see like this whole panoramic view of a mountain range, and it's incredible, beautiful. And you get this concept of like time that's like, from here to here, like it's a big span. But when you're on the mountain pass, like, it's still pretty. You're on the mountain, sometimes there's snow, but a lot of times you're going to see like traffic, and you're going to see people pulled over on the side of the road, putting chains on tires and like, or trying to fix a car, or, just lots of things, on the pass that's not really the fun stuff. And it kind of skews what your perspective is. Like you don't see the whole picture the way God is standing back looking at the whole entire mountain range. Yeah. And here you are on the hill and you're pulled over changing a diaper and it's dumping buckets of snow and it's freezing, and but you're on the mountain. You're on that big, beautiful pass. So yeah, it's just, I was reading that and that's what that reminded me of. It's funny.
It's easy to get caught up in those things. I did a month studying abroad when I was in college, and we went to Paris, and I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in Paris. Like, what the heck? And we went to these museums and all of that. And I was just so happy to do it. And one day we had off, and me and my friend, we wanted to go see the Eiffel Tower. But we struggled figuring out the bus system that led there. There's some sort of construction. I was like, we're gonna get lost. Like, I was like, I can see it. Like, I can see the Eiffel Tower where we were from. I was like, if we just walk that direction, we're gonna get there. So we did that. And we walked, and we walked, and we walked, and we walked. Like, I think it was over 5 hours of walking. And then we got there, we couldn't even go up. Like, and then you're standing, like, it's so big that you can't really encompass the whole thing, nor can you really take a picture because it's so much bigger. And now when I tell this story, sometimes I'm like, oh, I went to the Eiffel Tower, but the walk there was so long. And I carry this kind of negative idea with it that are like, oh, the walk there was so long. But I'm like, right. I got to see the Eiffel Tower. I got to see, like, how cool is that? Yet I'm still in my memory retelling people that the walk there was long. Like, that's so awful of me. And it's so awful to just like carry that instead of this beautiful thing that was ahead of me. And sometimes I get caught up with it in my day-to-day with my baby, where I'm like, you know, the time's not really moving, and there's all these things, and my anxiety's all cut up, and all of this, especially now with like Thanksgiving's coming up. I'm like, I gotta prep this, and I gotta do this, and I gotta do this, and then there's this time, and then what about all of this? And it's like, we're gonna have a beautiful Thanksgiving meal with the family, and my baby's healthy, and we're all healthy, and it's all good. So like, it's not worth it to get caught up in those small things.
Right.
Because they're so minuscule on a big level. Like, they're just these small pieces of the puzzle. Whereas if you, like you said, you know, God gets to see the full picture. He's putting all these puzzle pieces together. And to him, it's this beautiful, beautiful picture. But sometimes, at least for me, I get caught up in this like really small telescope view where I'm just like, you know, it's me in my house, and this is all the stuff that's going on. And this is and none of it matters. And I won't, like, when I look back on the first few months of pregnancy, you know, post-pregnancy, once we got home, I was like, I had a few days that were so rough, like just so rough. But now when I look back, I'm like, it was kind of like, overall, it was fine. And I'm every day, like, we laugh with my baby, and like just do all these exciting things that the negative stuff I do forget about. And I want to be better at seeing myself through God's eyes, kind of like, instead of self-doubt and focusing on like the negative things, or although I want to fix some traumatic things that I've dealt with and explore those, I want to see myself through God's eyes. Like, that not that nothing is wrong with me, but I'm not a bad person, and I'm not like a bad mom or trying to make up for those things, if that makes sense.
Right. No, absolutely. I agree. It is popular to put like this, what you were saying, like this negative tone on child rearing. Like, it's demanding work, and we all know. But yes, there's so much joy, and there's so much to be grateful for, the fact that you get to experience it. And it's hard. I mean, it's easy to lose sight of that in like the day-to-day. Sorry, I have to pick up Daisy because now she's screaming. So she
no worries. Here, we can also. Can you see Daisy?
Yes.
Okay.
But what I was gonna say is,
hi, baby. Here, we'll end it soon. Hi, Buttercup. Sorry to take your mommy from you for a second. I'm sorry. Hi, beauty.
No. But it's, again, like I said, it's that eternal work. And there's something to be said for the hard days, the suffering that you get to share in with Christ. It sounds silly. But in those moments are the times, the opportunities that you get to learn more about who he is, who his character is, what he would do. I think one of...
my baby came to me.
Yeah. Oh, look, there's your...
What's with your crop top?
We're outside just doing some sunbathing.
Oh, wow. Okay, we'll have to get to our babies.
Yes.
And then the thing,
sorry, we didn't even touch on homeschooling.
No, that's all right. I'd love to talk to you again sometime if you have time, if we find time. But thank you for joining me and talking to me. I mean, this was such a pleasure. I'm such a fan, and I really admire how you handle yourself.
Oh, thank you. I'm just learning as I go. I have not figured out anything.
We're all trying to figure out. Yeah. Well, I'd love to talk to you again, but I will end this now. And Daisy's so beautiful. Thank you for joining me, girl. I'll talk to you soon. I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving with your family.
Thank you. You too. Definitely connect with me again because I'd love to go into all the stuff we didn't touch on.
Absolutely. I'll touch base with you and then we'll schedule another one. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Bye, girl. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh. Okay. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time. Happy Thanksgiving. You say bye. Bye. Okay.